you make the most power, most cylinder pressure. Why can't we make more than 1.2 horsepower per inch on 91 octane gasoline? Well, the reason is, y'all, auto ignition. And you can't control when the pressure happens, when you get detonation. If you can't control the heat, which means you need a little bit cooler intake temperature, or you need to or you got to cut down on the compression ratio, the cylinder pressure from cam timing, and make sure you don't have the spark lighting off too soon. Now okay, let's go over here to fuel. Stoichiometric. I think I spelled it right. Consider the source, okay? Stoichitric. Stoichiometric. Okay, that is ideal burn. That means gasoline is 14.7 to 1 is ideal. When we make peak power, we want it richer than stoichiometric to make peak power. When we want to get the best gas mileage or the most fuel mileage, we got to run it a little leaner than stoichiometric. So I drew a red dot and a power curve, an air fuel curve. In order to make more power, way over here on the rich side, we're making less power. But also notice when we're making the most power, right here around 12.8 or 13 to 1, we're also using the most fuel. I am losing followers here, and I am so sorry. Great idea there to record the show. That's a great idea. If this thing keeps jacking with me, I'm probably going to have to go to Tech Talk, not live, recorded and shown at the same time. Because this is 2 weeks in a row, and I think that it might be like some kind of government overthrow where they're trying to get rid of free information. Who knows? So I'll try. I'm going to keep trying a little bit. I see you guys are in and out, just like the spark not cutting out. Peak fuel economy happens when it's too lean, just on the verge. We're losing power, doesn't have enough fuel to make peak power. When we're running down the highway, our fuel injection system is toggling between a little bit too rich and a little bit too lean, trying to stay near stoichiometric. That's why narrow band O2 sensors toggle on off, trying to stay near this. They want you to part throttle, cruising down the highway. We try to run around 15 to 1 on gasoline, and we try to run somewhere around 12.8 or 13 to 1. Okay. All right, look down at the bottom of the list here. Okay, gasoline. This is what's. Please understand these are round numbers. You can look them up. You can do the math. You can do some research, and you can find some better info than this or more precise. But this is general that I've picked out of just knowledge from prior experience. BTUs, that is a British thermal unit. That is a measurement used worldwide based on how much energy and how much British thermal units. This is how much heat. Gasoline with 91, 92 octane, that's a RON number. RON means, and that's not you, Ron Smith. That's not you, Ron Reese. That's not you, Ronnie guys that I'm watching this is a research octane number. They also have R plus N, research octane and motor octane. They have a MON and a RON. You add the RON number and the motor number together and divide them by 2, and that gives you your octane number that's printed and listed on the pump. Okay, next week, live podcast from my garage in Florida. No, let me say it again. Hi, Bill Miller. Next time this happens, I am going to record it, and I'm going to show it immediately after the recording so we don't have to put up with this cutting out. Okay, ethanol. Ethanol produces considerably less heat per gallon of fuel. This is 120,000 BTUs per gallon on gasoline. Ethanol is 84,000 BTUs per gallon. Methanol is 64,000 BTUs per gallon. E85 is around 90,000. E85 is 85% ethanol and 15% gasoline. Diesel is the most powerful fuel. It's 130 BTUs per gallon. This is some RON numbers. Research octane. Ethanol is about 108 octane. Methanol is about 123 octane. E85 is around 107. And diesel is around 25 octane. Okay? Perfect air-fuel ratios for complete combustion for each one of these fuels. 14.7 is approximate where gasoline is. 9.1 is where ethanol. 6.47 is methanol, and around 10 to 1 is E85, and 14.5 to 1 is diesel. Okay, you guys, look. What's 100 octane? Okay, octane. Octane is how many BTUs does 100 octane make? Well, guess what? Gasoline, the lowest octane, around 91, 92, is 120,000. The higher the octane goes, the BTU. So some really high octane gasoline, say maybe some 120, 115, 110 octane gasoline, may be making 5,000 less BTUs. Not much. It still makes more fuel, makes more BTUs. Even the highest octane gasoline makes more BTUs than ethanol, methanol, or E85, but not diesel. Diesel always will make the most. Okay, back to, I know, wow, I got the same story going here. All right, so back to what I'm saying is notice in order that you're only getting 84,000 measurements of heat with ethanol, you're going to have to run 50, 60% more fuel just to make the same, well, let's see, not 50, it's a lot. It's not 50%. Maybe 30 or 40% more fuel to make the same heat, okay? 14.7 to 1 and 9 to 1, that is almost twice as much fuel. I'll tell you what, methanol is more than twice as much fuel per unit of air than gasoline. So this number, 14.7, that means 1 unit of fuel or 1 pound of fuel versus 14.7 pounds of air. 9 to 1 is 1 part fuel to 9 parts air. 6.4 to 1 is 1 part fuel to 6.4 units of air. So this is very, very rich. This right here, it takes twice as much methanol to make this. It takes twice as much methanol to have a complete burn. But twice as much methanol, you have to run a lot of it to make any heat. Nitro, Howard Wiggins put it, is 1.7 to 1. I've been telling people 1 to 1 or 2 to 1, and it's somewhere right in between there. Yeah, and look, those are some cool numbers for the science guys or for the gearheads, but in reality, the reason why you don't just put ethanol in a normally aspirated engine or methanol in a normally aspirated engine and try and make more power with it. Can you make more power? Yes. Okay, let's say you got a guy that buys a 124 from us and he wants to drive it to Sturgis or Daytona or the beach or go on a touring trip across the country. As soon as, normally you can go 175 miles on a tank of gasoline, let's just say. I know some of you guys can go 200 because you're awesome, and some of you guys can go 100 because you floor it all the time. I'm the guy right in the middle. I get 120, 140 miles a gallon because I enjoy the G-force, because I love the G-force, okay? So that's going to mess up the fuel mileage. Think about it. If you change over to 100% methanol, you're going to have to more than double your fuel pump pressure and supply. You're going to have to double your injector sizes. You're going to have to double your capacity. In other words, if you're going to run methanol down the highway and go on a cruise, you got to find a really good source for the methanol. That means you got to have a lot of gas stations that sell this stuff. It's really cheap. Ethanol's cheap. The 85's cheaper, and diesel costs more. I don't get it. But I think this has a lot of road tax because I think farm diesel is pretty cheap. But I think the government that pays for all this stuff with our money, I think they make a couple dollars a gallon, maybe $1 a gallon. And that's talking out of school. I don't have any idea what I'm talking about. I'm sure somebody's an expert on here. But back to my story about traveling across the country. On E85, okay, E85 only makes 90,000 BTUs per gallon, so we got to run a lot more of it. Also, we're going to have to run 40, 50% more just to get to where we're going, because if you're going 200 miles away, you're going to have to stop and fill up. With this guy right here, you might be able to go 200 miles on your Harley, but this one, you're going to have to stop and fill up, maybe twice. This guy right here, he's got to stop and fill up every time, I don't know, every hour. Methanol doesn't get very good mileage, but it has really big octane, and it cools everything it touches because it evaporates really fast, so it takes the heat right out. You can almost freeze a injector or throttle body with methanol because it evaporates so quickly. All right, back to if you want to make the most power and go the furthest, that's why gasoline is so popular right now. We can make 1.2 horsepower per inch with it, and if you change over to ethanol, even though you got to run twice as much, or methanol way more than twice as much, or E85 almost 30-40% more, I think. And these are round numbers, you guys. You can argue with me about it or whatever. And like Paul just said, he likes E85 because it works awesome on these guys right here. If you got a supercharged car or a turbocharged car, man, they love them some ethanol, E85, methanol, because it takes the intake temperature out. And remember I said the gasoline, you get auto ignition from too much intake temperature, too much pressure, and all of these, ethanol, methanol, and E85, it takes a lot more pressure to light them off, and it takes a lot of heat out, everything it touches, because of its evaporation. Gasoline, it's hard to light compared, it's easy to light compared, I'm sorry, I said it backwards, but you get a good gas mileage out of it, and we can make one. Oh, the reason we're selling you gasoline on the engines we do here is because of availability. We can make 1.2 horsepower per inch on gasoline, and you can drive it cross country and find 91 octane. All right? Now, methanol. I know that Michael Beelan has a really fast turbo Harley, and the guys that are running the turbo Pro Street bikes and the turbocharged Pro Mod cars, they're running methanol. They have to have huge injectors, 1, 2, 3 injectors per cylinder. They run a lot of boost, and the more boost you run, the more heat you have in the intake system. So the methanol helps reduce that temperature, and you can make a lot of power. But back to the normally aspirated engine guy, if you're tuned up great and your air-fuel ratio is great in your EFI system, you're not going to pick up a bunch of horsepower by changing over to ethanol because it makes less power. You're not going to make more power with methanol because it makes less power than gasoline. In E85, you're not going to make a lot more power than gasoline with E85 because it makes less power. All right, so why do people use it? Well, there's lots of reasons they use it. They use it to take temperature out. They use it to save money, which I don't see any way to save money on methanol because you have to buy more than twice as much. So if you pay $2 a gallon for this, then this right here would have to be less than $1 a gallon in order to even come close on mileage. All right? Now, different story, you guys. I see you guys on here looking. Turbo, supercharged, and nitrous. Nitrous right here really likes gasoline with lead in it and high octane. Superchargers like that too. They like gasoline with high octane and lead. Turbochargers, they like high octane gasoline with lots of lead in them. What do the turbochargers like better than leaded gasoline, high octane gasoline? Is they like ethanol, methanol, and E85. Cooling properties and high octane. Instead of 91 research octane, it has 108, 123, or 107 octane. Octane, you guys, octane is the ability of the fuel to resist detonation. Octane is not a power rating. Somebody asked a good question a minute ago. What is the BTU power of racing gasoline? It is slightly less than this. Okay? But look, diesel is the most. It has the lowest octane, and it produces the most energy per gallon. Yeah, turbo methanol. Woo! Big boost, big power, big fuel. Nothing economical about it, that's for sure. Methanol, ethanol, E85 is really hard to keep the water out of that stuff. You guys, you got to work on that, keeping the water out of that stuff. And now we're talking about fuel taxes. I appreciate you guys. I've got lots of experts on here, which I am thankful for. Watch this. Thank you all for the experts. Because look, I'm just this guy that knows something about a lot of stuff. I don't know a lot about any of these things. I'm way better on camshafts than I am on fuel and stuff. And look, this is a challenge for me. These numbers, 14.7 to 1, stoichiometric 9 to 1, stoichiometric 6.4, 10 to 1, 14 to 1. You know what I do? Is when I dyno or when I go to the drag strip, I tune all of these numbers. I tune the timing numbers and I tune the air-fuel ratio numbers until my time slip has the lowest time, ET, elapsed time, down the track, and the most MPH. That's what counts for me. If I was dynoing and it was a dyno competition, this is what my dyno sheet would look like. Because I would change the timing to make this power here, and I would change the air-fuel ratios to make this power here regardless of what fuel it was. Gas, ethanol, methanol, E85. And I don't have a diesel-powered motorcycle. Hey, but you can see why people run it in towing and vehicles to move freight across the world and ships. Is because it makes the most power per gallon. Not really a commercial, but I want to tell you about a new product that's coming. Milwaukee-Eight has 2 intake valves and 2 exhaust valves. Okay, they come from Harley, like a lot of Harleys do, with triple groove keepers and retainers. And what we've seen is when you put the retainer on and you put the keepers on and then you pull it up tight, that this valve rotates without the keepers or the retainer moving, which is not good. And I think the reason that they use 3 of them is to keep the valve from dropping, and also because it spins a lot and that wears out these parts, so it needs 3 grooves to keep it in place for a long service time. Now, this is a stock Milwaukee-Eight valve, it's kind of fat exhaust valve. Here's the intake valve. These are pretty heavy. So what we've done is we've used lots of brands. We've got a lot of people making a lot of parts for us that are really nice, and I wanted to share with you our newest product that's going to be August. We'll have these late July and August. Is the proper exhaust valve for the Milwaukee-Eight. It's big. It has flow bench and horsepower generated angles to get the flow around this valve. It has a really nice margin so the valve stays nice and stiff, so the valve job will hang in there for a while, and it is undercut waist, 6 millimeter stem, and we're undercut under here to take a little weight out. And also we have them made custom to our specs, laser engraved. And we also, when you buy these valves, you will change over to the proper keepers that will go with this, which serve as a collet, and they clamp the valve below the keeper groove. The keepers we use clamp the valve on both sides so the valve can't turn or it can't move when it's in the retainer. It's okay for the valve to rotate, but we need for the spring and the retainer and the keepers to rotate as well. And so notice this is a top lock. And I'm going to show you, I'll draw you a little quick picture of that. Here's our new intake valve. It's bigger than the competition. It's the same weight. It's lighter than the competition because we have this undercut and we put a dish on the chamber side, which all of these big motor Milwaukee-Eight, especially now, have too much compression in them because the cam timing is correct, the airflow is correct, and we have a lot of cylinder pressure, so we're getting spark knots. So we're going to help the spark knot situation so we can make this gasoline work. We're going to get airflow so we can fix our cam timing to be even better, and the valve springs and retainers and the camshafts and the lifters last longer, and the push rod. So here is a stock Milwaukee-Eight valve, and our oversized valve, you can see, is substantially bigger. We went from the triple groove to the top lock, and our exhaust valve is much bigger. And we went from the triple groove to the top lock as well. And there will be more information available soon to tell you all about that stuff. To go along with our new camshafts that are coming out in late July, early August as well, we have the small, medium, and large camshafts for the Milwaukee-Eight. We're going to have the street and strip version, which we call our 30-30 cam, and then we also have our 3/4 cam, which with the 30-30 street and strip cam will be 485 lift, and I'm trying to say this off the top of my head, our 3/4 race cam will be 585 lift, and then we have our full race cam, which will be a whopping 615 lift. And all that stuff is designed to go together with this, and I'm going to show you what a triple groove keeper looks like. Okay, I'm going to just draw a real quick keeper. This is a side view cutaway. Okay, and our new keeper has one bead here, and it's 7 degree. And this, everything from the keeper groove down, will be a clamp that will clamp this valve in place so that it will be held like a collet, how like a drill press holds a drill bit, or a mill or a lathe holds a tool. Anyway, I'll share more info with that, tell you more about it. But one thing I don't like about stainless steel valves prior to this part is because they're heavy. And these are been carefully designed, and we've tried several different shapes and sizes to get the valve train to last, the RPM to go way up, and for these to stay in there long or longer than a stock valve. And we pick up NASCAR quality endurance where you can run hundreds and hundreds of miles wide open with this type of titanium retainer and top lock keeper. That's all the time I have for today. I'm sorry of the cutout at the beginning. It looks like that the internet decided to lock in on us after everybody got tired of me and ran off. But we'll try and continue to learn. Keep sending me questions. Keep sending me information. Email me, george@starracing.com, and check out our page, Star Power on Facebook, and then also our website is continually updated every week, and that's that's starracing.com, and hopupyourharley.com. May God bless y'all. Thank y'all. Look after each other. Be safe. Good night.